Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that we are knee-deep in a Decan walk. And just in case you are new to this channel or new to Tarot, a Decan walk is when we walk around the zodiacal wheel of the year in 10-degree segments and look at the cards that are associated to each one of those 10 degrees, which are called a decan. And if you know me, you also know that this Decan walk is not the same as other Decan walks that you might see out there on YouTube or in other spaces, because I am not following the Golden Dawn's associations of Tarot to Esoterica. And in case you are curious about what I am doing, why I'm doing it, how I decided to make these associations, I've got a whole playlist. And I will put a card up here for you to click on and hop on over and take a look at that. Yes, but we are here doing a different kind of Decan walk. That's the title, right? A different kind of Decan walk. And we are entering, when I upload this video, the third Decan of Leo. Yes? Okay, so friends, before we get into it, I'd like to do a couple of things. First, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for doing all those things that you do. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and hitting the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. Yes? All of those things that you do help YouTube know to show our channel to other people, and other people find us, and our community grows thanks to you. And also, thank you to all of you who comment in the comment section, because I love hearing from you. So, friends, the next thing I want to do is give you a quick outline and mention a tool for you that I have prepared. Yes? The tool is in the description box below. There will be timestamps for you to be able to hop around this rather long video to watch the parts that you want to watch, or to rewatch the parts you want to rewatch at your leisure, at your pleasure. It's a choose your own adventure kind of video. And what are those parts? Well, as I've gone through the first half of this series of the Decans, and we are about at we're reaching the halfway point soon. Yes? Yes, we will be reaching the halfway point soon. We're almost there. But as I've been going through this Decan walk with you, I've landed on a pretty clear outline, right? So, first what I will do is I will, with you, look back on the previous Decan. And for this video, the previous Decan will be the second Decan of Leo, keyed to Sagittarius. So we would have Jupiter in Sagittarius, in Leo, Jupiter in Leo. We'll talk about that. And then we will hop right into this Decan. And the first thing we'll do for this Decan is look at an oracle card from an oracle deck. And just to let you know, the decks that I'm using in this video, save one, are mass market available. There will be links in the description box below for the decks, also for the books that I'm referring to. So the oracle card that we pull gives us the entrance, the summary of the Decan. Yes? And then we're going to look at an oracle card from a deck which shows us the Egyptian Decans. Because the Egyptians were the first to arrange the wheel of the year into 36 10-degree segments. Yes? Plus 5 more little segments in there. Anyways, but they're the first ones to delineate what we call Decans. And so I've got the Egyptian Decan for this one. And we'll talk about that. And then I will read a little bit from a book and another book. And then we will dive into the first tarot card, which summarizes the Decan as a whole. Yes? And there will be a timestamp for that. And then we will look at the two major arcana cards that influence or help us unpack that one minor arcana tarot card which we started with. Yes? And then, at the end of the video, I pull 3 questions from those 3 cards. Yeah, the minor arcana card for this Decan and the 2 major arcana cards which help explain that minor arcana card. I pull 3 questions. And I pull a 3-card spread to answer those questions from another deck. And then we're done. Yes? So, the major parts of this video are this introduction, the recap of the previous Decan, and then there will be a timestamp for the oracle cards, and then there will be a timestamp for the minor arcana card, which covers this Decan, and then there will be a timestamp for the 2 major arcana cards, which influence or help us explain the minor arcana card. And then the last timestamp will be for that spread at the end of the video. I hope I've explained that well enough for you. If I have not, if I just made it more confusing, let me know in the comments below. Yes? If it was good enough, let me know in the comments below. I'm not sure. I can't see your faces to check understanding. So, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, friends, here we are. Let's look at the previous Decan. Yes, I told you, it was Jupiter in Leo because the second Decan of Leo is keyed to Sagittarius. And here's the spread for that Decan, just as a reminder. Yes, we have in the center the 5 of Wands, and on one side we have the Hermit, which is the stand-in for Leo. And then on the other side, standing in for Jupiter, we have the Empress, right? You see those cards? So, before I went off on my trip to the United States, I recorded some of these videos in advance. And because I was recording these videos in advance, I couldn't give you my personal summary of the previous Decan, because it hadn't happened yet. But I kind of liked what I landed on instead, which was asking questions for reflection for the previous Decan. So I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of this series. What do you think? If you want me to go back to my initial personal reflection, let me know in the comments below. But I think this group reflection set of questions is actually maybe more helpful. So, excuse me. I have the air conditioning on, dry air, dry throat. What questions can we think of for this previous Decan? Well, did you feel more expansive than usual? Larger or maybe showier than usual? Did Jupiter make your ego or your enjoyment of being seen larger? Now, Jupiter is a planet of expansion as well as good fortune and wealth, right? It's the planet of expansion, making things bigger. So did your inner Leonine fire expand during this Decan? Did your leadership skills shine? And did you feel like you were getting things done? Yes? Yeah, Leos like getting things done. Really, we do. I'm a Leo sun. Really, we do. Were you able to nurture your talents and perhaps implement your special brand of creativity, whatever that is? Yeah, your special brand of creativity could be painting, It's not mine. Your special brand of creativity could be singing. I found myself singing a little bit more during this decan. Your special brand of creativity could be cooking. I was away from home, so that I wasn't able to do that much. Your special brand of creativity could be organizing your house. Your special brand of creativity could be writing or talking to people. Whatever your creative outlet is, and we all have one. Did you find yourself expanding on that or giving more attention to that? Did you begin some special kind of work or project that might be a good foundation for growth? I did. I decided to get more formal education on astrology. I've studied quite a bit. I'm not going to say quite a bit. I'm not going to inflate myself that much, but I have studied a bit of astrology in different areas. For example, I studied Hebrew Jewish astrology. I've studied West Hellenistic astrology. I've studied, but not formally, not with other people. And I've decided that maybe a thing that I might want to do in the future is read people's charts. And to do that, I could use some formal education under my belt. So I have applied I've applied and been accepted to a school to learn astrology in a formal online classroom setting, because I'm back here in Korea, and I don't think I would have the wherewithal to study astrology in Korean. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I have done that. Have you been a bit more optimistic? Jupiter, optimism, yes? In Leo, more optimism. Were you able to keep your own path, even if it seemed different from the mainstream? That's something I do quite a bit, right? Case in point, this series. Did you notice any challenging friction or competition that may have irritated your ego? Yeah, that negative side of the Five of Wands, did you feel like you were butting up against other people in not a fun way, but a more competitive or irritating way? Did you feel people were coming at you a little bit? All things to think about for this previous decan. The shiny and the shadow, right? Okay, so let us know. How did you feel? What did you recognize? What are your responses to these questions? Let us know in the comments below, or you can let us know on the community tab to the channel. Yeah, that's open for you. That is your space to communicate if you so choose. There we go. Friends, now we're about to enter this decan. And what I will do first is show you the oracle card for which summarizes the coming decan. And we'll talk about it. Friends, here is that oracle card right now. Friends, you see the oracle card right here. And it's a nice picture, but the title of the card is not all that joyful, right? What do we see? The title of the card is egotism. Yeah, that's a trap of Leos, definitely. Not only Leos, but it is a trap of Leos. And this decan having that keyword is a little bit of a red flag, right? So egotism. The picture, we see a being that is half cockerel, which is a young male chicken, yes? And according to the creator of this deck, the deck, I didn't mention the name of the deck. This is the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And again, the link is in the description box below. Half cockerel, the creator says this being is half man, but I'm sorry, all we really see is the head. It's an important piece, but it's not half man, it's just the head and maybe a bit of the neck, right? This cockerel man stands proudly and visibly, yeah? Letting him or themselves be seen. On the top left, which is that side for you, I think, we see the Leo sun. Makes perfect sense. And on the top right, we see an Egyptian scarab, which shows the eminence of this beautiful, radiant, proud being. And at the bottom of the deck, a card, we see the symbol for Mars and the symbol for Leo, because this is the decan which is keyed to Aries, which is ruled by Mars, so we have Mars in Leo. What is this card trying to tell us about this decan? Well, we would benefit, according to the creator of this deck, and sometimes the art doesn't really match the image. I mean, the description doesn't really match the image to me, but the summary of the guidebook is really spot on for each of the decans, I think. We get the benefit of using our furry, creative energy in expansive and showy ways in this time. Maybe we go for a big scale. We enjoy having an audience. Leos like getting seen, right? And we have the desire to take charge. We might also have a strong sex drive. That sounds fun, right? Sports and games are diverting and entertaining for us, perhaps. I'm not much into sports, but I do enjoy moving my body, so maybe exercise will also be part of that. And entertaining children can be fun during this 10-day period. We may sometimes go over the top, yeah, and sometimes our over-the-top behavior can seem authoritative or dictatorial, so we want to be careful of that. When we do want to go big, we don't want to go big to dominate other people. If we notice we're doing that, we might want to back off, you know? We want to be careful of bullying other people, and we want to be respectful. And we also want to recognize that we're not the only cock in the roost. And I'm talking chicken here, male chicken. We're not the only cock in the roost, right? There will be other people who might go over the top, who might be doing this in our environment, and that could cause a little bit of conflict. So, recognizing we don't want to become the authoritarian, we don't want to become the dictator, we also want to recognize that other people might have that tendency as well, and not fight against them, but allow them their space and maybe give them the space to do what they're doing until they're done doing what they're doing, and then we can get along again. Does that make sense? So, this is a decan of shining bright, but making sure that we don't overpower others and we don't try to push too hard against people who are doing the same thing, because then we're only going to make more trouble. Okay, so I've got the Egyptian decan all lined up for us. Let's see how this card and this decan colors our understanding that we're just starting to get. Okay, so here is the card for the Egyptian decan right now. Here's the card. The card is, all of the cards in this deck are lovely. And again, there is a link in the description box below. What do we see here? We see two maybe priests, maybe servants, carrying a blanket with, this is an Egyptian pharaoh turned god. Yes? The title of the card is Pehuy Djat, and underneath you see that, and can you see that? The writing, the small writing on this card is really small. I don't know if you can see it. The small writing says end of the crane. And at the very bottom of the card, you see in the red or the burgundy box, you see the title Accomplishment, which really does key into this decan very nicely. Just wait till you see what the tarot card is. Maybe you've already seen the tarot card from the thumbnail for this video, but just wait. So this card shows us Amenhotep the First. Now, Amenhotep the First is being carried by supporters during the festival of Amun, the god of the air. This pharaoh was born and died. Okay, so was born in. No, I'm sorry. This pharaoh died in 1504 BCE at the age of 35 after almost a 21-year reign. Now, do the math, right? He was 35, but he reigned for 21 years. That means he was 14 years old at least. He was only about 14 years old when he became pharaoh. Not pharaoh, but pharaoh. It sounded like I pronounced that incorrectly. So after his death, a cult was started and lasted for hundreds of years. And this cult, now remember, we're talking about ancient cults. That means like a segment of a religion, not what we think of as a cult, which is like Jim Jones and people drinking Kool-Aid in Guyana. That's not the kind of cult we're talking about here. It's a cult within the Egyptian pantheon of religion, right? A cult was established for this pharaoh, lasted for hundreds of years, and in the celebration of this cult, the statue of the pharaoh was carried in procession, and it was used as an oracle, giving yes-no answers, because apparently the head of the statue was somewhat mobile. Yeah? So it gave yes-no answers, and it was carried in procession. And this decan indicates success in professional life. That sounds good, right? I'm about to start, well, no. By the time I start my new semester, we will have changed decans. But still, that's nice, right? This is the high point of the crane group. Even though it says end of the crane, this isn't the final decan of the crane group, but it is the pinnacle of it. So it's great accomplishment, and great accomplishment is just one step on the journey. Yeah, it's not the high point. We've got another crane decan to come when we enter Virgo. So this isn't the high point, but it is accomplishment, and it is part of the journey. Here we have protection and letting reality temper the shining light of our accomplishments. So, yeah, it's like, imagine that you're in the spotlight, people are clapping and applauding your accomplishment, but instead of just going completely with that feeling, we let reality temper our understanding of the experience of accomplishing and being recognized. Yeah, so that we don't completely lose ourselves. We keep our heads, we keep level-headed. We realize that this is one step in a long journey. Does that make sense? Have you felt both of those things? Have you felt applauded and like you've accomplished something big and you've lost yourself to that? On the one hand, and on the other hand, have you felt yourself having accomplished something, received applause and kept your head level and realized this is only one step. There's still a lot more journey to go. Have you felt that before? So that's the one we want to lean into. Does that make sense? Okay, so friends, now is the time when we are going to look at some information from books. Yes, first, I use a book called Decanics, and that book is going to be in the description box below if you want to buy that book. And in that book, for each one of the decans, the author gives a need. Yes, and the need for this decan is to explore and spiritualize the dynamic energy force for the welfare of others rather than personal glory. Yes? So when we get that feeling of energy, power, we want to use that power for the benefit of others rather than for our own, woohoo, how great am I? Yeah? Okay? That goes nicely with that, sorry, got another book here, goes nicely with that quality that was described by the Egyptian decanic, right? By Pehuy Djat, right? Height of the crane, accomplishment. So, now, here's another book. Great book, in the description box below. Not that large, but very helpful. And the authors of this book, which is Decanics and Duads, tells us what about this decan? It says that, let's see, okay, so we have a lot of initiative and energy to start new projects, even though the fixed sign of Leo often makes us indifferent to new possibilities, right? Leo, hey, let's have fun being who we are, doing what we're doing. New things are not necessarily Leo's strong point, but now we have a little bit more energy to start new things with the potential to really carry them through, to follow through. The fixity of Leo gives the ability to see projects through to the end, what I just said. These Leos are self-sufficient and willing to provide for their own needs. Well, that's good to know. They are highly competitive and want to be first in whatever is important to them, but must guard against an egotistical need to be the central authority figure and a self-centeredness that can interfere with their happiness. So we still need to be careful of being self-centered and of trying to be the central authority figure. But we've got a lot of good stuff going on for us right now, yeah? We can start new things. We have follow-through. We are energetic. We have initiative. All wonderful stuff. Let's see if we can carry through on that, yes? So, friends, good. Are you ready for the tarot card for this decan? Well, whether or not you are, here we go. Here it is. Friends, here we are. You see this card, yes? The Six of Wands. What a wonderful card. But do you see how this card really does reflect those things we've already been talking about, right? The accomplishment, the applause. But needing to be careful of not letting ourselves run away with our egotism and feeling of accomplishment. We want to stay level-headed. We want to recognize that this is just one step in the journey, right? We're on that horse. We're still moving forward. What do we see in this card? We see the person sitting on a horse, all decked out for celebration with the laurel wreath both on their head and a laurel wreath hanging from their staff, right? We see other people holding their own staves, it might be staves, walking in procession next to the person on the horse. So this is the accomplishment card, it's the success card, it's the successful, and we can see a couple of possibilities in this card. Yeah, the person on the horse might be riding back from a victory, or this might be an anticipatory celebration riding off to battle. Now, this could be before or after some anticipated or successful accomplishment. Right? So, what do we get from this card? Well, because it is the Six of Wands, we have Leo keyed to Aries. So that means that we have the cardinal aspect of fixed fire's vital attributes entering our world during this decan. The cardinal aspects, Aries, of fixed fires, Leo, vital attributes entering our world, and we have Mars in Leo, right? And when I see this card upright, I think of visible success. Yeah, you can get it from this image, right? There's success, and it is quite visible. Other people are watching, other people are participating in the success of this person on the horse. And we have ideas such as initiative and energy to begin projects and see them through. We have self-sufficiency here. There's a competitiveness and a desire to be first here. So we want to be careful of those qualities. We have personal magnetism, that leonine quality of, hey, I can draw people to me because of my charism, my charismatic nature. And I'm vital. Remember we were talking about sports or maybe exercise? I'm spontaneous and I'm demonstrative. You applaud me, I will gush all over you right in return, right? We might crave and acquire leadership positions. Courage is a big part of this decan. Yeah, and we have a determined willpower and a large ego. For good or ill, we have a large ego. Now, a large ego can benefit us, yes? It gives us some resilience. It gives us confidence. But it could also be detrimental in that it could be a cause for making others feel small or for lording it over other people, right? So, keep to the good, avoid the bad. Sounds good. For us in this time, we may discover we need to love the work that we are doing for it to be interesting for us. And it might be the work itself, or it might be loving the person that we are working with. And I'm not talking about romantic relationships in the workplace necessarily, but to have that feeling of agape, of loving your coworkers. And if we can love our coworkers, then we will have a lot more enjoyment doing the work that we're doing. So the work should be meaningful, or the relationships in the work that we're doing need to be meaningful to us in a good way. And when this card is upright, I have a question, which is, how can energetic balance or alignment be restored? Yeah, we want balance. So how can we get that energetic balance where it should be? Now, because it is the third decan, we have an exaltation, which is the sun. And the sun is exalted in, guess what zodiac sign? It's exalted in Aries, right? This decan is keyed to Aries, and the ruler of the zodiacal sign, the sun, is exalted in Aries. So hey, what could be better than that? So when the sun is exalted in Aries, what qualities can we think of? We have victory through boldness. So our courage and our boldness are beneficial to us now. The recognition that we get is earned by action. We're not just recognized because, hey, aren't you cute? It's by for the reason of what we have done. Our leadership is affirmed by other people. And our confidence is renewed in this decan. So, friends, those are the qualities of this decan. And I've got a big old tickle in my throat. I need to get some water. So let me, while I get a drink, show you the two major arcana cards that influence this card right now. Here they are. I'm sorry, friends. I practically cried from that tickle in my throat, and I'm tempted to turn the air conditioner off, but it's pretty hot here still, so we're just going to keep on going, okay? So please be patient. Now, the two major arcana cards you see from left to right are the Hermit for Leo and the Emperor for Mars. Doesn't that seem like a really good association? The Emperor and Mars, right? Mars is a ruler of Aries, and we see the little ram heads there for Aries. Pretty good. So, let's start off with the Hermit for Leo. You've seen this a couple of times before, but just as a reminder, right? The Hermit is... Oh, and there's the Tree of Life right here on the side. Don't forget that. Easier for you to see it than me because right here I see air. But I've got the sheet in front of me. So the Hermit, which is our stand-in card for Leo, and gives us fixed fire's vital attributes. You can see it on the Tree of Life here, connecting Chokmah and Tifereth, right? And actually, we've got two paths leading down into Tifereth. We've got one from Chokmah and one from Kether, which is for the Emperor, which we'll get to in just a moment. So, this Hermit, the Hermit card here, is associated with the Hebrew letter Tet. And it kind of looks like a basket, and that's what it is a symbol of. Right? It's a symbol of a basket or a womb for new life. And when we think of Leo, Leo is a kind of womb of new life for the zodiac, yeah? It's the beginning of the path, the returning path up the wheel, up the ladder of lights back to Saturn. Yeah? We start off with Aquarius on one side, and we go down the zodiacal wheel to Cancer, at the bottom, at one side of the bottom, and on the other side of the bottom we have Leo, which begins the path back up to Capricorn at the top. Right? So, it's the womb to the return path through the darkness back up to the top of the wheel. Yes? And Teth also looks like a serpent. It also looks like a spinning wheel. It's the possibility of good or evil. Something Leos need to be careful of, right? Our egos could go to the good or it could go to the dark side. It's concealed potential. And also it's the number 9. The number 9. Which is the number of truth. Yes, Leos are interested in truth. Maybe not as interested in truth as Sagittarians, but Leos are interested in truth. So, we have all of that packed into the Hermit. And it connects, again, like I said, Chokmah and Tiferet. It connects wisdom of Chokmah to Tiferet, which is beauty and the heart. So the Hermit leads wisdom into the heart. And the heart is also where the sun resides, which is also the ruler, that's the word I'm looking for, the ruler of Leo. Now, the sun Tiferet is lit up because of the Six of Wands, not because of the Hermit card. But we're leading into that with the Hermit, right? Now, because it is the Hermit, it's the 9th Hebrew letter, we can also look at the 9th rune in the Elder Futhark, which gives us Hagalaz. And Hagalaz is is a bit of a dangerous rune. When I say dangerous, I mean the letter, which kind of looks like a cross between an H and an N. There's a destructive side to Hagalaz. There's destruction and unpredictability to Hagalaz. It's a force of nature and the unconscious, which can be destructive and unpredictable, right? But there's also the potential for perfect inner harmony, which is good for the Hermit, right? The Hermit masters inner harmony, because if the Hermit does not, then we've got the unpredictable and potentially destructive aspects that could burst forth. Does that make sense? So, this is a card of Leo. And in Jewish astrology, from what I've been able to research, this is the month of strength and kinship. Kingship. Kingship. Yes? Royalty, power, authority, glory. All of those bright, shiny things that the Six of Wands is aspiring to. That's the word I was looking for, aspiring to. The element of life associated with Leo can be a consuming fire. It could be the consuming fire of judgment and destruction. Or it could be a shining forth kind of fire. Yeah? It could be the shining forth of light, of love, and protection. The fire. Remember, way back before we had things like weapons, before we had things like walls, maybe even, we had fire for protection during the darkness of night, right? We tended the fires either in our caves or out in the open. We tended the fire because the fire provided protection from the wild around us. So the shining fire of glory, but also of protection and of love, to transform potential negativity into positive light. That's the fire of the Hermit. conquest over evil. Yes? Ancient depictions often show the lion constellation poised over the hydra, the snake, the evil snake, the serpent constellation, and the lion is about to crush the serpent's head. It's the ultimate victory of good over evil. Leo. The hermit. Right? The hermit, a more spiritual victory. The lion, a more physical victory. And we can see how those could be joined in this card and in Leo. And then on the other side, and that does inform the Six of Wands. Now on the other side, also informing the Six of Wands, is the martial quality of the Emperor. The Emperor, yes? And you can see that the Emperor lights up two aspects of the Tree of Life. Why? Well, first, the Emperor is the stand-in for the planet Mars. So the planet Mars is there in Gevra, the Sephira of severity. Right? There. But the Emperor is also the fourth card. The number 4 is the Hebrew letter Dalet, which kind of looks like this. Maybe this. I don't know how it looks on your screen, but to me, it looks like this. And it connects Keter with Tipret, running right down the center there, right? Now, Dalet is the Hebrew letter for a door, which is strange because that Hebrew letter doesn't look like a door, right? If you ask me, the letters He look more like a door. The letter not Gimel. There's another letter here that looks like a door to me as well. But this is the Hebrew letter which symbolizes a door, or the helper of the burdened. Yes? It's an empty receptacle of divine blessings, to receive the divine blessings. And it's receiving, and it's openness, and it's also poverty, and humility, and transition. And the letter right before Dalet, which is Gimel, for the Empress, Gimel walks towards Dalet to help fill that bowl. So, Gimel is the giver, Dalet is the recipient. Now, for those of us who have a very good impression of the Empress, having her come to fill the empty vessel of the Emperor sounds pretty good. And it gives a little bit more of a softer quality to the Emperor, who many of us really see in a very, very negative, harsh light. So here, see the Emperor here in his chair as the humble recipient of blessings. And see how that can reframe your understanding of this guy in a throne, in a barren landscape, needing to receive the waters of life even, right? So, Dalet connects, like I said, Keter to Tipret, which means it connects the monad, the divine, to the heart, to beauty. And the Emperor is the path connecting the divine singularity, the oneness of all, to beauty and to the heart, while still maintaining its position as Mars in Gevra with severity. Yeah, so there's that contrast there. Now, because it's the fourth Hebrew letter, we also have the fourth rune that we can consider from the Elder Futhark, which is Ansuz. Yeah, and Ansuz looks like an F with the horizontal bars, no longer horizontal, but pointing downwards. And Ansuz is the rune for messages, for inspiration, for enthusiasm. Enthusiasm sounds emperor-like, doesn't it? Also, for visions and health. It's for harmony and truth and wisdom, all qualities, harmony, truth, wisdom that we would like the emperor to embody. And now maybe we can start seeing those qualities in the emperor. Now, being the placeholder for Mars, we do have some harsh things in the emperor through Gevra, which are blood, the spilling of blood, but also the vital life force of blood, war, strength, power, and judgment. Right? Gevra is not only some negative and we want to run away from it. Gevra is also the place where rules, organization, structure begins. Yes? Now the first, on the Tree of Life, the first Sephirah where we start to get container is in Bina. And they're both on the mother pillar. The mother pillar is the pillar of severity. Stick that in your head, right? The mother is the severe one. The father is the merciful one. Okay? So the mother starts off at the top with Saturn, the great malefic. But malefic in this case means that it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say killjoy, but it gives a container to the wisdom of Chokmah. It gives a container to that wisdom so it can start to, and I think of that container as like a not a crystal, but a container of mirrors or prisms. So that wisdom, which is diffuse and intangible, can start splitting like light splits into its several colors through a prism, can start splitting in Bina with understanding. Right below Bina is Gevra for severity. Severity, it cuts, it separates, it gives borders and containers and segments and separation and judgment. This is here, this should be here. That kind of judgment, as well as this is good, this is bad kind of judgment. And you did bad, you did good. Right? So all of those things are part of the emperor. Judgment, right? Also, on the more positive side, the planet Mars is divine might and severity, Gebra, and the power to set boundaries. All of those things that we've discussed. So, those things are informing the Six of Wands, right? Power, might, also severity. We want to be careful of becoming too severe and domineering and dominant, but also judgment and the vitality of blood, the power for war. But we might want to be sure that if we do engage in battle, that we're doing it for the right reasons and not just because our egos were irritated, right? If we're engaging in some kind of battle because it is the right thing to do, then maybe okay. But if we're doing it because we feel offended or we feel like nobody's listening to us or we're not getting the recognition or we're not being followed like we think we should, time to stop, right? All of those things are things to think about in this decan. Does that make sense? Okay, friends, so, and again, the Six of Wands lights up Tipreth. It lights up the heart. It lights up beauty in a very passionate, wands kind of way. Of passion, of creativity, of glory, of power and vitality. All wonderful things if we don't let them go too far. Now, friends, I pulled 3 questions to ask of these 3 cards. What were those questions, you may ask? Let me tell you. From the Hermit, I pulled the question, how can we best use our energy? Yeah, because there's a lot of energy there. Remember, the fire to either destroy or to shine forth. How can we best use our energy? From the 6 of Wands, I asked, what are we recognized for? Right? We want to know. People are recognizing us. Why? It's not just because we're pretty. We did something. What are we being recognized for? And then on the right, left of here for you is here, right is this way. From the 2 of Wands, no, not from the 2 of Wands, what am I saying? From the Emperor, I asked, what power can we use to move forward? Right? Because the Emperor is the one of power and the severity to be able to do work and make things happen. So, what power can we use to move forward? Like that horse in the 6 of Wands. So again, what are the questions? From left to right, how can we best use our energy? What are we recognized for? And what power can we use to move forward? I laid a spread. It's all ready for us. So let me show you the cards and we'll talk about them in just a moment. Here they are. Friends, did you notice my slip of the tongue from the previous section? Yeah, when you saw the cards right there, big and bold on your screen? Well, you can see here above my shoulder, we have the 3 cards again, right? From left to right, you see the 6 of Wands. Again, that was pretty wild, right? Then the Knight of Swords, and then when I slipped up and I said the 2 of Wands, for some reason, this is the reason why I made that slip, because the 3rd card in the spread is the 2 of Wands, right? So we go from the 6 of Wands to the Knight of Swords to the 2 of Wands. Pretty cool, if you ask me. And pretty spot on, or I don't know. The first question, how can we best use our energy for the 6 of Wands Decan? Well, we use it best by doing the 6 of Wands stuff, right? Because that was the answer. So it's really emphasizing, punching up that central card for this Decan. And if you look at the Tree of Life over here, you can see that even with these cards filled in on that tree in purple, notice those, right? The areas where these cards light up the Tree of Wands, all roads still point towards Tippereth. Again, with the sun. Again. And I'll tell you why as we go through the cards. So, let's start off. We're going to do 2 levels of reading, or 2, what do I call it normally? I call it 2 layers of reading. Yeah, and I've got a playlist on my channel called that, 2 layers of reading, where I read a 3-card spread the way that I would coach my tarot mentees to read that 3-card spread on their own, looking at picture, number, card interactions, etc. And then we'll go back and read those 3 cards again in a more esoteric way, right? So first, let's look at the first question. How can we best use our energy? Well, I've already said it. Now, it's interesting, in this card, the guy, the gal, the them, is off of his or their horse, right? This is the Hudes Tarot, and I'm sorry, this deck is way out of print. Yeah, I have two versions of this deck. I have the one that was printed in English, which was out of print when I got it. But when I got that deck, the German version was still in print, so I ordered that one to be my regular daily deck, and I saved the English one for special, you know? But now even the German one is out of print, so I can't give you a place to go. I can't point you to Amazon Germany because it's not for sale there anymore. But you could look on eBay. I'm sure there are copies floating around. Either eBay wherever you live or eBay Germany, which would be ebay.de if you're curious. So again, how can we best use our energy? By doing the work of the Six of Wands. And in this card, we see the guy off of the gal, the non-binary person off of his or their horse. I already said that. What does that tell us? It tells us that we embody our victory, we acknowledge our accomplishments, but we get down off of our high horse, right? Because that's the danger. We can fall off the horse if we're riding on it. If we're walking beside, less danger of falling off of our elevated position. Less potential of lording it over other people, right? If we're walking beside the horse. Still holding our wreath, we're still holding our accomplishment, still proud of what we've done, and we know that we're still moving forward, but we're not sitting up on the shoulders of others. Does that make sense? And in the guidebook for this deck, it says conquest, victory, good news is possible now, rise of elevation, right? Expectation, desires have been fulfilled because of what we have done. Yes? So, pretty typical reading of the Six of Wands. And then, what are we recognized for? Well, we're recognized for our Knight of Swordsness. And what is the Knight of Swords? Well, for me and the way I teach the court cards, the knights are air. I know some of you are going to start screaming at me or through the screen. For me, knights are air because they're the ones, air moves. And also, if you look at the trees of life, and there are multiple trees, there's a tree of life for each element. We start off with fire at the top, which court cards are hierarchical. I'm sorry, they are, to me. Well, we can break free of the hierarchy, but they are formed by a hierarchy, and the top, the king, is fire. Then the next, the queen, is water. Nobody argues over that. And the fire and the water get together and they create a sun, air, which is the knights. And then the knight goes out and finds a princess or a princess for him, her, them, and that princess is earth. And when the king and queen pass away, they rise up to being fire and water in their own rights. And then they have a son. And then that son marries another earth. And the cycle, right? So for me, knights are air. And again, air moves. Fire burns bright in its place. It consumes other material. It can spread like a king can spread, but it doesn't move like air moves, like the knights move. Yes? So, for me, the knights are air. So this is air of air, because swords are air, right? So we've got that quality of the quick movement of thought. right? It's thinking on our feet. It's being able to leap into the unknown, head off on an adventure, to challenge ideas, to challenge the conventions. And personally, well, okay, then we're going into, I don't want to get into the esoteric zodiacal associations that I have for this, so let's keep it there. And in the guidebook for this card says courage, skill, ability, heroic action, impetuously plunging into the unknown without fear, and being a master of action. For the Knight of Swords. Beautiful. And this Knight of Swords is not the most mobile of knights, is he? She, they? But still, we've got that quality. You can think of this person maybe as all suited up and ready to start moving. Hasn't started moving yet, but ready to start moving. And that's what we are recognized for. That we are recognized for being bold, being skillful, being heroic, going into the new thing without fear, without hesitation. That's what we can be recognized for during this Decan, hopefully. And that really does inform the Six of Wands nicely, I think. That's how we got here. So, what power can we use to move forward? And we see here we have the Two of Wands, another fire sign. And when we think of the Two of Wands, we see here the person holding two wands. And I don't know if you can see in the background, we see a map. Now, in the Smith-Waite deck, what do we see? We see looks like a guy standing on the top of the parapets of a castle maybe, holding a globe in one hand and a wand in the other, looking out, and we think of the person planning their course forward. What are we going to do? How can I move? I've got this passionate fire from the ace, right? This creativity, this burst of inspiration. Now, where am I going to go with this? What am I going to do? Yes? And here in this card, we can still see that, right? We can see the map in the background. We've got this wand that I'm holding up, and maybe I'm using this wand as a tool to find my path with my creative impulse. Can you see that? And we can also see ships in the sea, on the map, in the sky. We can also see a compass at the top. Do you see all those things? The guidebook, and this is for what power can we use to move forward? Well, we move forward by using the power of plotting our course, maybe. And the guidebook for this card says a mature individual, something I hadn't thought of before, a ruler, achievement of goals and needs. We have the power to move forward by being mature, by having achieved our goals and our needs. That could empower us to move forward. Our boldness, our courage in undertakings, and also the potential for surprise can vitalize our movement forward on the path that we have chosen. Now, a surprise can go, oh, how wonderful. Feel excited by that, right? So that's that's the power we can tap into for our journey forward. Now, let's move. And we also notice, look at the pictures, yeah? This may not be an easy flow. The Six of Wands is looking off to the left, right? Correct, I mean? Looking off to the left. So is the horse for the Six of Wands, looking off to the left. But the Knight of Swords and the Two of Wands are facing off with each other. They're not looking in the same direction. They're maybe joining forces or they are in conflict. So maybe we have the potential for both. Our desire to leap into the unknown and our plotting our course could come into conflict, or we can use both qualities to move ourselves forward. Now, we plot our course, but we know that we can't see everything in front of us. So if we get those moments of, but I'm not entirely sure, we can tap into our Knight of Swords energy to move forward, even though we don't know everything that's going to happen. But we still have plotted a course. Yeah? Think of the movie Ulysses, yeah? He's plotted this course, but he runs into a lot of crap that he didn't really... I'm sorry, the Odyssey. The movie's the Odyssey. The character is Ulysses. That has come out recently. The character Ulysses plots a course. This is I'm going to go in a different course from Agamemnon. I'm going to go this way. Runs into a lot of crap, but he's got the Knight of Swords capacity to leap into the unknown several times on the course that he's plotted with the Two of Wands. So we've got things go awry for him, sure, but they don't have to go awry. That's not a cautionary tale of every time you plot a new course, be scared because you're going to screw up. That's not what we're saying here. Yeah, there could have been other possibilities. But yeah, we plot our course and we know that we're not going to be able to see everything that we're going to encounter on our path. So we want to engage the ability to leap into the unknown with the Knight of Swords on the path that we've plotted out, because we're not just going off randomly into the dark. We've plotted out a general path with the Two of Wands. Making sense? I hope so. Okay, now let's go to a deeper strata. Let's go to a deeper level of reading with these cards. Yeah, we've already talked about the Six of Wands. How can we best use our energy? We can best use our energy by being visible, allowing our success to be visible. Right? This is Mars and Leo still. We still have the cardinal aspect of fixed fires, vital attributes here. Yeah, being self-sufficient. Allowing ourselves to be charismatic and magnetic. Being spontaneous and demonstrative. Being courageous. Being careful of large egos, because that can move us into the dark side. But recognizing that we have energy, we want to get our energy balanced and in alignment. Yes, we want to allow our sun, we all have our suns, yeah, we want to let our suns be exalted, recognized, supported in Aries. Allow ourselves to be recognized, be confident. That's how we can best use our energy. Now, what are we recognized for? So, my astrological associations for all of the nights are mutable signs. Yeah, for me, I'm off the wall. I'm a contrarian. I do things different from other people. Yes? For me, but the thing is, you choose your associations and you run with them, right? So instead of doing what Aleister Crowley did and had the court cards straddle two signs, I want to keep each court card in one sign for a reading. Yeah, for a reading. I want that court card to be representative of a sign. So for me, I've landed on pages being cardinal, and that makes the most sense to me. Yeah, being the initiators, the instigators, the ones who start things, the ones who maybe need a little bit more maturity, right? The knights are the ones that clean everything up and are ready to move on to the next thing. That seems most knightly to me. And the queens are the fixed signs. They're the ones on the throne. I mean the actual kingly royal chair, not kingly, but the royal chair, the royal seat, being in power in their element. Not just getting started and not getting ready to move on, but sitting in the seat of power, right? That's the queen for me. Kings are the ones who, that's an entirely different conversation. You can see my associations to the court cards in the playlist that I gave you the card for at the beginning of this video. So for me, the knights are mutable. Mutable air is Gemini. Yes? And because it's a knight, I also pull Mars into it because Mars is a martial planet. So for us now, the Knight of Swords is Mars with Mercury in Gemini because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Okay? So what happens when Mars enters a mercurial Gemini? Well, we get a verbal ninja. Yeah? Witty, but sharp. And we have a sharp aim with our words and thoughts. We have comebacks for everything. We have a busy mind. We know a little about a lot of stuff, very Gemini. We have manual dexterity, right? In anything from music, like playing instruments, to crafts, making stuff. We have intellectual courage. Mars enters, right? Courage, intellectual courage. We can challenge ideas. We can stay curious and stay ahead of everyone else, intellectually, mentally, verbally. So what are we recognized for? We're recognized for our active minds, our ability to do stuff with our hands, for mental, verbal sparring maybe, for in whatever we are focusing on with our own personal power, we stay ahead of other people mentally and verbally, with knowledge and information and all of that stuff. Okay? So those are we have the potential to be recognized for that, for our minds, for our active minds. Potential for being a little bit harsh, but aggressive minds in a good way. Yes? And what power can we use to move forward? Well, we got that Two of Wands, which for us now, if you remember from the second Decan of Aries, which we did several months ago, right? This Two of Wands card is Aries keyed to Leo, right? The Six of Wands is Leo keyed to Aries. The Two of Wands is Aries keyed to Leo. So we've got this wonderful balance here. Yes? So that means that we have the fixed aspect of cardinal fire's vital attributes entering into our answer here. What power can we use to move forward? It's the sun in Aries, which is exalted, right? The sun is all lit up here, several ways on the tree of life, right? It's lit up here with the sun being exalted, but it's lit up here for the Six of Wands. It's also lit up here for the Knight of Swords, because knights, for me, are all Tippereth. The king is Chokmah, the queen is Binah, the knights are Tippereth, and the pages are Malkut. Okay? So, Tiprat is just radiating with this whole Decan and this spread and the one we saw before. So when the Two of Wands is here, upright, we think choosing a direction, right? The power we can use to move forward is choosing a direction. We can finish what we begin. We have intensity. We have a noble affection. Yeah, our fire is very noble here. We have the ability to organize, to be able to carry things out to their finish. We have a talent for leadership here. Just like the person on the horse in this Coleman Smith version of the Six of Wands, right? There's also the idea of leadership there. The martial quality of Leo. Here we have the Leo quality of the martial too. We have strong willpower. We are self-centered and authoritative, which could be dangerous here too. And upright, the question I would ask is, what should I direct my will towards in relationship to what I am doing now? Yeah? How should I direct my willpower in relationship to what I am doing now? That answer will give us the power that we can use to move forward. Now, because it's a 2, we have Mars in its complement, which is Taurus, believe it or not. Yeah? Venus is the ruler of Taurus. Mars's partner is Venus. So, Mars in Taurus, what do we have? Initiative allowed into direction. I'm sorry, initiatives slowed into direction. Now, the impulse of Aries is to just get going, but Taurus says slow down, choose your path. Will seeks ability. Yeah? Our willpower seeks ability. We choose where to apply our force. And our energy wants to last, not just start. Yeah, the first decan of Aries, it's let's start. Here, let's start, but also let's have some staying power. And again, remembering the sun is exalted in Aries. The sun, which is here through being the key to Leo, is exalted here. We have a powerful surge of life force, new beginnings, assertiveness, and taking action. That is the power that we can use to move forward. Remembering, again, that this accomplishment is only a step on the path. We are completely self-motivated. We can take charge. We can initiate projects. We can trailblaze without worrying about the approval of others. We're fiercely independent, and this can allow the ego to make quick and instinctive decisions. Right? We do have the quickness of Aries here. And those are the qualities that can empower our movement forward. That sounds to me very tantalizing. Does it sound tantalizing to you too? I hope so. I see a lot of positive potential for this decan if we can avoid those few pitfalls that we already talked about. Yes? Okay, friends, there we are. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you see brightness ahead for this 10-day period, 10 or so days? Or are you scared of it? Because of those potential pitfalls. Does that worry you too much? I hope not. Because really, I do see a lot of power in this period of the year. Let's use it for good. So friends, thank you. Thank you for walking this decan and this video with me. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.